Hello, Highland Rebecca on the nine. We have a special guest, Hollywood style, Hiram Travis. How's it, bro? How you doing, bro?
What's up, brother? Man, glad to be on, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good, man. We talked talked about a few things earlier, and your story is huge, and you're such a motivator in the community. Now, how I met Hiram was through my sister, Kiala, and I think I met you at a few parties and stuff like that. But me, I always worked, so I never really got a chance to go and hang out, So, I saw you on the big screen, bro. You know what I mean? So that's another thing. You're a celebrity as well. But Hiram, you're living in California, but where you originally from, bro?
So I'm in a suburb, just outskirts of LA County, Gardena, California.
Uh-huh.
I was born and raised in LA, but my parents are both Hawaiian. They're both from Hawaii. They moved to Gardena before I was born. So my mom's family is from Oahu, like Waimanalo and Haula.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad's family is from it's a small town inside of Hilo, Big Island, called Kilkaha.
Oh, Kilkaha, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where my dad's family's from. They before I was born, they moved to the States, and they look for a better opportunity. You know what I mean, as far as off the islands.
Right.
Had me out here.
No, I was, moving to California and being Polynesian. How was that, experience? Because a lot of people, I'm Popolo or Black or Mexican. When I moved out to Las Vegas, back in the '80s, what they receive you as, like a Spanish or Latino?
You know what? It wasn't a bad transition for me, and the reason why I say that is because Gardena, it's a city known for like a lot of Hawaiians, a lot of local folks.
Okay.
And my parents, throughout the years as they lived in the city, they were able to grow a lot of good relationships within the community, friends, family, and stuff like that. And a lot of local folks, they all gravitated toward each other. So I was always raised around a lot of Hawaiian, Samoans, Polynesians.
Uh-huh.
But I think for the most part, maybe, they probably might think of like Spanish or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, because there wasn't at that time, there wasn't as much as there is now.
Right.
As far as Pacific Islanders.
Right. And, living in, what high school did you graduate from?
I went to North Torrance High School.
North Torrance.
Yeah.
Because I'm more familiar with the Carson side, I guess. The village. Carson Colts.
Yep.
and the fam, so it's all good. So,
yeah.
But obviously, the expansion and the growth in California, I've seen it. Not say firsthand, but when I go and visit, it's just it's like literally driving into Hawaii. Like literally, driving in the streets and like. Wow, like everybody walking around, lava or pareo, walking slippers, going to one of those local convenience stores, big Braddah behind the counter. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And now, living there and just growing up in LA, do you ever try to think of moving back to Hawaii or something like that? Or, do you go back and visit sometimes? Or
So the good thing about when I was growing up is my mom worked for United Airlines.
Oh, wow.
So we used to fly back at least like 2-3 times a year for family reunions.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I was born and raised here in LA, we would always go back to Hawaii, spend time with the family, spend a few weeks over there. And so it worked out because, flight attendants, right? Not flight attendants, airline employees, they only have to pay like the taxes. So, back in the day we used to fly, it was standby.
Right.
But, it wasn't much at all. So we would always fly back home. Hawaii, I played a season of football over there at Hawaii in 2001 for UH Manoa, right? The Warriors. And I lived out there, and I love Hawaii. It's nice, but I think because I was born and raised in LA, it's too slow of a living for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm definitely with you. When you're accustomed to something that things are a lot more like you say, upbeat, and so like even in Vegas, we're open 24/7. It's like you go back Hawaii, and things close at 10 or 11, or if you're not at a house party, then you're literally kind of just looking at the stars.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you said you played the UH for a season. Was it were you inspired to go to school and get the
Yeah, I wanted to, the goals and dreams was, to, make it to the NFL. And then so after North Torrance, I went to junior college El Camino, and then from there I was able to get a scholarship to UH. Had a little family issues. I'm going, for my first year, second year, so I never made it back. But a lot of it had to do with, I tore my ACL. I got injured
right
that year, so it was a year recovery, and then compounded with some other stuff to where I never made it back. So it was a fun experience. Making it to the NFL was one of my goals. It just never worked out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, but now you're on the big screen, so to say, and we're referring to I'm referring to the movie, The Longest Yard with Nelly, is like Chris Rock, Adam Sandler. I mean, how'd you get in? I mean, living in LA, maybe it's a small town that, or I don't know, how'd you get into that gig?
yeah, that's funny you say that, man. So a cousin of mine, he comes by my house. This was back. I want to say it was like in '03 maybe when we did that. It was early 2000s.
Right.
And he comes over, he's like, "Hey, Hiram, man, hey, let's go try out for this movie." And I was like, "What movie is it?" He was like, "It's an open casting call. They're gonna do a remake of The Longest Yard." And I was like, "Okay, cool." It was only like 10 minutes away from the house. It was at a hotel. There was probably about 600 to 700 people.
Wow.
That showed up. And after they interviewed that first round, then they called back around two to 300 people. They called back, and we had to go meet at the StubHub Center, which is now it's a Dignity Health Park where the Chargers play at.
Right.
So they called us back and said, "Hey, you need to report here on this date if you still want to have an active role in the film. Make sure you bring your football cleats." So they invited us back, and then we did all the football drills. We did the 40, we did the shuttle, box jumps, all this stuff, right? Because they wanted to make sure that we know how to play football because, those are the scenes, the football scenes, right. We're going to be doing it. So it went from that. I was one of about 50 people that was chosen to do the movie. And the crazy thing about that is that my cousin who invited me to go to this open casting call, he didn't even call back. So he got asked out. He didn't make it. So he was low key hating, but it was funny how that whole story came about. So, but yeah, man, we did that movie. It was a good experience, bro. It was real good. Adam Sandler, real down to earth cat. He was. There was me and two other Polynesian cats on the that were on the set,
mm-hmm.
and he comes up to us because during lunch we had like top of the line craft service. So every day for lunch we had it was like buffet style, but we had 3 different kind of proteins, and it was cooked a different way every day. So we had fish, chicken, and steak. Each day was prepared a different way, and as well as like a lot of the side dishes. So we ate well. But then Adam Sandler, probably like a week into filming this film, right? He comes up to us like, "Hey, man, you guys Hawaiian?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Hawaiian." I said, my 2 boys are Samoan. And he was like, "Oh, he's talking about when he did the movie, The 50 First Dates."
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so I guess his cook, because he traveled like his personal chef.
Uh-huh.
He was learning like stuff from like Sam Choi and some of the other, well-known like culinary chefs in Hawaii. So he was able to pick off some things from the chefs back home, and he brought it and traveled with them. So he was like, "Hiram, you know what? Friday was like in 2 days, right?" He was like, "Friday, I'm going to have a spread for you guys." So for lunch, bro, this guy had Kalua pig. He had ahi shoyu poke, and he had white rice. And I was like, "Bro, man, he's Adam Sandler."
Yeah.
Just like how he is in the film, he's in real life.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a good experience. It was fun. It was in New Mexico. We filmed there for like a couple months, and man, it was great because after that movie was filmed, I kept on getting residual from that movie like 5, 6, 7, 8 years after. So
that's awesome. And kind of working with Adam Sandler, and to just hear what you said, he's just a very personal guy. And then, do you say why he always filmed in Hawaii? did you ever see? You know, a lot of his films are like straight out of Hawaii. You know,
Yeah, that's a good question, bro. I'm glad you asked. And he said the reason why he does that, he said he loves the culture, he loves the people.
that's awesome.
He said where he goes, he feels that aloha and just loves that energy. So he said, like, you know, any chance that he would get, he would try to work it out with production to see if he could film out in Hawaii because he just loved the whole environment and the people.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to know because I always wonder why, like, this guy, he's always in Hawaii. You know what I mean? And and then and his cast is always the same, but it's funny movies that they turns out. Now from the movie set to real life. I mean, what do you do right now as a job? You know, I mean,
that's a good question, brother. So right now, I'm involved in financial services like full time. So prior to this whole coronavirus, I was heavily involved in like the restaurant space. So one of the avenues that I had is that I was leasing out a restaurant space. The restaurant space that I was leasing out, I would also lease out to food vendors. So food vendors. So let me take a step back. Last year, I created the very first Pacific Island Food Festival,
right?
And it's called the South Bay Food Market. I didn't want to call it the Polynesian Food Festival because I didn't want to narrow down my market.
Right.
If other ethnicities and people wanted to come in, but I had a few events last year. It went great. The first one we did, we were only anticipating to have about 500 people, and there was over 1,200. All the vendors sold out.
Wow.
The second event, we were, anticipating, okay, maybe we'll do like 1,500 to 2,000 people. There was over 3,500 people that showed up. And I added more vendors, and a lot of them still sold out. And the third one, was over 4,000 plus. So just looking to grow that. One thing about that South Bay Food Market is, I think that one thing that stood out the most is majority of those of the vendors, they're all Pacific Islanders. So all my vendors, they're either Hawaiian, Samoan, Tongan. I had some Guamanians, some Filipinos.
Yeah.
But I also had a Latino guy that did like ceviche and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the gist of it was a island vibe. And I had brought a Nappy. Nappy came and played music, and it was a great setting. And the reason why I created that market, bro, is because there's a lot of good Polynesian cooks. They know how, a lot of them know how to really get down.
Yeah, get down. That's it, man.
Yeah. You know what? The challenge with our people, I think, though, is sometimes they just don't know how to get in front of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, you have like backyard barbecues or like family reunions, and you have your uncles, aunties, cousins, relatives that could really just get down on the grill or whatever. So the reason behind creating the South Bay Food Market was to create a platform for our Polynesian culinary chefs to showcase their skills.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for the most part is if we can get, if we get our people, if we can provide that platform for them to really showcase their food,
right?
It's going to cause it's going to create a lot of opportunities for them.
Right.
And that's what it's done. It's kind of been like a domino effect because after I did those few events, a lot of those vendors, I mean, they were able to get like a lot of catering gigs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of those catering gigs were from people that never heard of them before, but they went to the food market. They got their information. They followed them on social media, and so now they're able to generate a whole new customer base.
Wow.
And then also, another reason why I created that market is because there's a lot of us cooks out there that once again kind of do like pop-ups at home.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sure if this concept would work. So a part of that is, I bring in like new vendors that want to test the market. Not really sure if this is what they want to do, but hey, come out, set up shop. I'm providing an audience a space, do your thing. And if you do well, then now you're onto something. And if you don't, at least you tried it. So I did it with a couple of vendors that were kind of on the fence as if this is something they really wanted to do. And they knocked it out the park. And so, this whole coronavirus obviously has slowed down the food market space.
Right.
But that's what I had going on last year as sanctions as cities ease up. I'm looking to, launch open this year's very first South Bay Food Market. I was in the process of opening up a cold brew coffee bar as well. So it's going to be the very first cold brew coffee bar in downtown LA.
Hmm.
It's about 3 blocks away from Staples Center, downtown Staples Center. And it was actually, it's actually a friend of mine's project. And he was like, Hiram, you know what? You want to come and manage it? Help us get it off the ground. And as soon as we do, we got other opportunities to open up these cold brew coffee bars. So, bam, right? That went into like a screeching halt because of the whole coronavirus. So it was a good thing because I always had financial services in my back pocket. And so when this whole coronavirus happened, everybody's on quarantine, on lockdown. And so I started, really shifting my focus towards financial services. So right now, what I do and my business has been doing very well is
Right.
I focus a lot on life insurance, annuity, 401k rollovers, like long-term care, stuff like that. The beautiful thing about how I do business now is through Zoom. It's just like this.
Right.
So the traditional way where I would share the opportunity and to see if people wanted to, if either they were open to opportunity or maybe they just saw value in like life insurance. The old school way was I would either have to go meet them at their house or a Starbucks, or they have to come to the office.
Right.
But this whole lockdown has been a blessing because, all I have to do is send them my Zoom link. Takes them about 25 minutes just to hear out what I got to say. But they can do that from the comforts of their own home.
Right.
And for the most part, I know things are easing up now, but when quarantine lockdown, a few months ago when it was pretty thick, everybody couldn't go nowhere. So they were like, okay, you know what, Hiram, send me the link. You know what I mean? So I use that to my advantage. The crazy thing was, I'm breaking records in the company right now. So I'm bringing on hundreds of people by the month. So with that company, about 95% of the people who I'm bringing aboard all Pacific Islanders, Hawaiian, Samoan, Tongans, Guamanians, but I also have other people as well.
Right.
It's just I'm a big believer in helping out the community, and I really want to, like, for example, life insurance, right? Life insurance is something that our people need, but a lot of time we wait till it's too late to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So with leveraging technology, I'm able to grow a team out in Virginia, Florida, New Mexico, Seattle, Alaska, California, Utah, Arizona, Hawaii.
Nevada.
Yeah. You know what? I got one person. I got one person in Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah, just one so far. But I'm looking to open up that market as well. And then American Samoa.
Wow.
So the beautiful thing about, once again, is technology, because this is how I work right here. Everything's through Zoom, everything's virtual. So my business has grown. I'll give you a little kind of a backstory, right? So I'm not sure if you're going to ask me this or if I jumped the gun, but
no, do it, man. Let's go.
Yeah. So growing up, right? I was raised even though I was raised in LA, my parents are Hawaiian. So I was raised in the typical, traditional, old school Hawaiian mentality, right? My parents told me, hey, go to school, get good grades, get a degree, find a good job,
right.
Work for a good company, retire when you're 60. And I'm like, that's fucking bullshit, right? Sorry, I'm not sure.
No. You go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I'm like, in my head, right? This is me going through high school. I was like, yeah. I said, I don't see it. I can't see myself slaving away for someone, and 40 years of my life, and this retiring off of not much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was introduced to like entrepreneurship. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah. So that shifted my whole mentality, right? And then so that's why I ventured off onto entrepreneurship. And that's the biggest thing I think that our people lack, is having that mind for entrepreneurship. But not only lacking that mind for entrepreneurship, I believe our people lack a lot of resources, a lot of leadership, role mentalities that people could look up to. Because like I mentioned, bro, I couldn't see myself working for someone for 40 years, and retiring off of nothing. I mean, I'm looking at people on TV and I'm like, okay, if that guy is making $100,000 a month, why can't I? You know what I mean? If he's making $1 million a month, why can't I? You know what I mean? But then, you know what? A lot of it's personal development. A lot of it you find, majority of those self-made millionaires, bro, they're just like us.
Right.
Normal, average, everyday people that sacrifice, that put forth the time and effort to get better, to learn, to surround themselves with good people. to have mentors, and just to focus on building a business. Like with Pacific Islanders, I was guilty. I was guilty. Years back. I think with like Polynesians in general, we kind of get set, kind of comfortable,
Right.
working in a 9 to 5.
Yes.
And then we look forward to our Fridays, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
then, we suck them up Friday, Saturday. We're either hanging on Sunday or we're going to church. And then we're like, oh my gosh, here's Monday.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we're dragging ass Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's like, bro, it's like we're zombies, man. It's like we're programmed to do the same thing over. But then those weekends, it took me a while to transition, because that's how I saw my parents growing up. I witnessed my weekends were at my house. My parents were playing music, Kani Kapila,
Right.
uncles and aunties coming over, poo, had the food, they're drinking, sucking them up. And they did it like Friday and Saturday night. It was like clockwork. So growing up, I was like, man, that's my norm. You know what I mean?
It's a go.
But then, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like shit. It's almost like our culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because every
barbecue,
yeah.
grill, food, people over the house,
Yeah.
and then ready to go back to work on Monday, hanging on Sunday, in
Yeah.
church or not, or something we don't make church.
I know, bro. Exactly. So, but yeah, man, it really took a few role models and mentors to really open it up, to be like, you know what, Hiram, there's more out there. You know what I mean? There's more out there than just working at the airport, or there's more out there than just working at the refinery, or being a longshoreman. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To each its own.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that. So I went into entrepreneurship, business. Now, bro, I failed at a lot of businesses. I have a list
I'm with you, brother.
of stuff that I failed at. But you know what, though? I didn't give up, man. I'm still not giving up. You know what I mean? I'm still not where I want to be. I'm in a lot better position than I was years back. But bro, I think with our Polynesian people, they need a lot of inspiration. They need a lot of role models. They need people to show them that there's other ways to support their family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other lifestyles that they could choose to live, instead of just going to work Monday through Friday, drinking Friday, Saturday, and kind of doing that whole cycle over again. I mean, like I said, I was in that. I was stuck in it, but I had to remove myself from that.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, I want more for my family. I want to be able to just talk to my wife and kids and say, hey, man, what do you guys want to do? You guys want us to go to Hawaii? Yeah, let's go to Hawaii. You want to go to the Maldives? Yeah, let's go to the Maldives. You know what I mean?
That is awesome. Yeah. Well, you talked about that, it's just kind of changing that mindset. And, for me, and we talked earlier that, Polynesians, we have a size for security, you know what I mean? Or bouncers that were in the club. And I don't fault anybody. I'm still in that business, but in management now. And, slowly kind of re-educating myself. And with this pandemic, kind of gave a blessing to kind of pursue certain things. And that's what we're talking this day, is that, really talking with you, you kind of put that inspiration every morning, when you talk and you talk about the old school, even though you grew up in LA. And like for me, I'm a mainland kid myself too. And, but you still take it back, man, the way you were raised. When you, I think, commented on you're in the gym or something and you heard, purple raindrops. I was like, man, ding, hey, man, that's me, man. But, and that's what we do here in Vegas. But, it's literally people like you kind of inspiring others to kind of open your eyes and kind of move forward and dream big. And do not dream small, dream big. You know what I mean? Put the vision together and put it on a, like I say, war board or whatever, and say, you know what, or bucket list that you're going to accomplish. And now for you, it's like, from football to, because that's the mentality too, right? We're all about football, right? Football, sports. Hey, now, a lot of kids are getting, now a lot of recruiters are going to Hawaii and they're drafting, some big boys and they go into the NFL. And, I love seeing that. But your mind is like, wow, yeah, you guys to each his own. But, I can show you something and you inspire that every morning, man. I mean, what do you get this inspiration? It's like you said, I think you wake up every day and like, yeah, I'm glad to be alive.
Yeah. You know what, bro? You know what? It's just every day we got to wake up every morning with a grateful heart, bro. You know, I mean, if your eyes are waking up, no matter what else is going on, bro, there's something to be grateful for. And you know, I've learned that. You know, once again, a lot of it's personal development, a lot of it's reading, and you know, you find out even the Bible and stuff like that. But you'll find out that there's always something to be grateful for. You know, like even this morning, I say my prayers every morning. You know, what I mean, like dear God, I'm thankful that I have a beautiful family. You know, I have a home, I have a car to get to and from. Just the little things. So I always look to pull out the good. You know what I mean? And be grateful and appreciative for that. And the reason why I do that, bro, is because when you wake up in the morning, what a lot of people normally do when they're getting ready to go to work, or maybe they just wake up. Majority of people, they turn on the news.
Yes.
And you know what? There's nothing, my mentor told me CNN stands for constantly negative news. And I learned that 15, 20 years ago. And, I'm not knocking the network, but that's just, what he told me it stands for. But if you look at history and time, the news has always been the same. The world's going to come to an end. We're fighting in the Middle East. We're going over injustices in the States. Every 8 to 10 years, we always go through recession. And then so once you, I guess you kind of realize that and kind of accept it for what it is, then you'll never buy into it. I already knew what all this stuff's going on. Like I didn't know it was going to be a pandemic, but I knew we're going to hit a recession.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then once again, 8 to 10 years from now, we're going to hit another recession. Who knows what it's going to be? It's not going to be the end of the world, but something's going to happen. So, you catch yourself feeding into all this hoopla. Oh my gosh, the end of the world, martial law. You get caught up in all this stuff. And you know what? None of that stuff's happening. You know what I mean? None of that stuff's going on. You know what I mean? They're talking about there's going to be, millions of deaths, and I want to say it's going to be 100,000 now. Now, don't get me wrong. Every life, is precious. But as far as like the fear that media tries to depict in us, it's I think it's bogus. So I learned that once again. I learned that going way back that the news is always going to be negative, and I choose to stay away from it. So that's why when people say, "Hey, man, Hiram, I love your negative, your energy, your positivity on social media. How do you do it?" I said, "Bro, I just don't pay attention to that. A lot of the stuff, we can't control. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
But what I can control is how I wake up in the morning, and how I'm going to decide to attack my day, where I'm going to share my energy and my love, and continue to push. So that's why I wake up every morning, bro. I wake up every morning, I do my little workouts, and then I'm thankful, I'm grateful. Like you talking about Purple Raindrops. I was working out, that song came on, and it triggered a memory, and it was a good memory. My dad passed away last year. Yeah, my dad passed away last year, right? But those memories, I remember every time my aunties and uncles would come over, they drink, they play music, Purple Raindrops, Oliver Kelly would come on, right. And they're all singing.
That's it.
And you know what? That's a good, fuzzy, warm memory in my heart. So when I shared that, I was like, you know what? Everyone's going to post all this hoopla and this nonsense on social media.
Right.
Bro, this is what I'm going to provide today. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for this memory. And that's what I look to do, bro, is if you look on social media, there's a lot of noise.
Yes, a lot of noise. I mean, even with the obviously the protests and all that stuff, and a lot of negativity in the world. And what we try to provide here is just that calm, soothing music, like you said, Purple Raindrops. It takes you to that happy place. But yet, when you see news, in LA, and you got you, and then a lot of family living out there. Man, it's crazy. But to myself, I was like, a lot of that could have been bypassed if they hired a whole bunch of Polynesians to hang out with the police.
Well, you know what? That's the beautiful thing about our people, right? Our Polynesian people, because I know you mentioned it as far as like Polynesians in the security business.
Yeah.
You know what? We're built for that, because not only our stature and size, for one, but also two, because we're very respectful. That's the way we're raised. You don't come across a lot of us as assholes. Out there in the world. For the most part, we're very respectful. And so when you have security, so when you have someone who has size on them, on the other end, they're very respectful. But then on the third aspect of that is that they don't shy away from confrontation and fights. mean, that's just it's kind of weird, but that's just how Polynesians were raised. You know what I mean? It's just you know we might have got beat up by got some lickings from the parents a few times, or we went to family functions. Aunties and uncles drank too much, ended up fighting. Or, you know, shoot, man. You know what? You know what? I still go to like J Boog concerts and Fiji concerts, and there's still fights. But you know what though? It's just you know it's just programmed with us. So you know that if I'm an employee looking to employ as an employer like Pacific Islanders, or no, in general, a Pacific Islander would fit my category.
Right. Because all the stuff, all the bullet points you just kind of you talked about, but you told them the story that you kind of just told me that you know a big corporation, Nike. You shared that story. I did not even know. I saw a little frame on a social media thing. I was like, well, I was laughing my ass off.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'll touch base on that. Is a friend, you know, it's a friend of the family, and so he's LA County Sheriff. He has an agreement with Nike, so he does. He's like a police chief. He's way up there with the sheriff's department, but he has his own security company on the side, and they do a lot of private events for Nike. So every time Nike's in town, they have these exclusive events. If you ever go to one, all the security is all Polynesians, Samoans, Tongans, maybe some Hawaiians. But what happened is they reached out to my understanding, is that they reached out to this guy, you know, as a friend, and they asked, you know, they'll pay, you know, to secure the Nike outlets. And so one was in Long Beach, which is not about 15 minutes from where I stay. The other was in Santa Monica. The other one was, I think it was East LA. Another one was like in Seattle. So pretty much all along the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And so they hired all these Polynesians to stand right in front of the Nike stores during this whole rioting thing going on, during this whole, you know, Black Lives Matter stuff, right? So it's funny because out of all the stores that got looted, like Adidas got looted, Fila, Reebok, all kind of clothing stores got looted, but none of the Nike stores got touched. So Nike knew what they were doing.
Right. Like I said, I caught a tail end of one of somebody kind of posted, like, "Hey man, let's get the Nike store." And he's like, "Are you crazy? It's a bunch of fucking Samoans, kid. I ain't going over there."
Yeah, no, you're right, brother. They were deep. They're at least like a dozen deep in front of the stores.
Right, and I think it's like, you know, size of obviously intimidation, but you know, I think I see some people kind of approach them and they just tell, you know what, relax, because you don't want to make me mad, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. You know, and goes back to be like kind of being respectful. So, you know, right. Even though the person you're looking across is you know, is looting stores, but they see you, you just acknowledge them. Be like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" You know. Yeah. And they already know the deal. You know.
No, well, you know, with all this stuff you're doing, and obviously, you know, just the inspiration thing, the videos on Facebook, you know, to help people kind of understand that, you know, your perspective on life. Hey, man, take it easy, man. Just chill, man. You know, there's nothing to get mad or hate about. But you know, what are you trying to do in the near future? I mean, I know you're trying to build you know, a platform like South Bay Market. Well, what do you want to expand, or we had this little talk, but I see a lot, you know, coming.
Yeah. So one of the avenues, so the South Bay Food Market, that's going to be like my community project. I don't plan to get rich off of that. You know what I mean? If I could just grow that platform to allow more Pacific Island cooks to be able to showcase their food on that, I'm totally fine. That's what I call back. I'm giving back to my people, because right. Once again, I'm not going to make a, you know, a killing off that. Right. Business wise, I'm looking to open up 10 offices nationwide, you know, financial services offices within the near future, you know, hopefully within 5 years. And then the bigger goal is I want to be able to, we're going to create like a funding group. And so you might have seen it. I know, like, you might see like Jay-Z and like P. Diddy, right? They call it like Black Excellence, you know, and what, you know, what their capital group, what it is they invested a lot of money into this one capital group But what they're doing is they're helping to privately fund Black-owned businesses.
Wow.
So I want to create, or I will create, our Pacific Island version. So I'm gonna get a lot of entrepreneurs and successful business owners to contribute to this fund. Yeah, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna self-finance our poly-owned businesses. So if you have a business plan, what kind of capital are you looking for? What kind of returns, X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And instead of them having to go to a bank and deal with the unfair, qualifications.
Yes.
That they could come to us because we are the people, and we'll help fund you, because at the end of the day we want to see you win. So, probably, the goal is on that is to raise at least like 15 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see that being a problem with the next few years. But having that capital reserve. So if you want to open a business, okay, Emery, what's your business plan? What's your financial analysis? Where you see yourself out 5 to 10 years from now? X, Y, and Z. Okay. Boom, here's what we can do. We'll go ahead and give you $200,000. Here's a couple options as far as to pay it back. But once again, we're helping our people out.
Right.
Yeah, and instead of you paying interest to Wells Fargo, you're gonna pay it to us. You know what I mean? So it's a win-win.
Yeah, you pay it back, and then hopefully you can inspire other people to, as a business owner, if you literally accomplish and succeed. You can help other people and become that mentor, like you said. What you're doing is creating this fund and this, so to say, a directory of mentors put together, and literally, what was that show, Shark Tank or whatever?
Yeah,
and put your minds together just to make sure somebody can, succeed in life, not just in business, but in life in general.
Yeah,
and you can better other people, or even even young kids coming up. They could look up to you.
Yeah, 100%, bro. We the goal is just want to create enough avenues and platforms for our people once again.
Right, man. It's just a breath of fresh air, man. To hear from another Polynesian brother that has a focus and a vision, and trying to follow it, and hopefully get the help and the backing of the community. You're already in the right direction with your festival. I see a lot of things happening that even though both of us, our paths will cross, and we can do things together and kind of build on your dream as well as mine is too. So to make this world a better place.
100%.
Yeah, man. So I'd like to thank you, taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me, and I'm sure we're not going to stop talking after this. And I see a lot that we can kind of work together on. But what's the Facebook they can get a hold of? We're going to get this inspiration. You should go on this new social media, TikTok, and create a visionary, a visual inspiration thing, because they only allow, I think, 30 seconds. It's one of my kids they're doing these days is a TikTok thing, and I got in, I probably only get 2 friends on that thing because I don't know how to use it. So, but for you, man, I definitely I could see a blessing channel.
I never created TikTok yet, but my Facebook is facebook.com / Hiram Travis, Hiram Travis. My Instagram, I have a lot more followers. My Facebook is a little more private because my account is private.
Right.
But my public form is Instagram. So it's Mr. Aloha. It's MISTER _ Aloha. So I have a lot more followers on that. But man, feel free to share. Feel free to follow.
Right.
And bro, man, we got a lot of work to do, man. It's even though we're this whole pandemic and things are slowly lifting,
right?
There's still a lot of opportunity for us.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity
to help out.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody stays safe and don't get sick. Even though people going out there still partying and doing their thing, there is still a virus out there. You know what I mean? You gotta
be you're right. You got to be mindful of that. Don't be scared of it, but you just got to be mindful of it.
Yeah, exactly.